Hi, I'm Dustin from Roland, Canada, and I'm here with the guys from Long and McQuade, and today I'm going to be showing you the new SE-02. It's our newest addition in our boutique line of synthesizers, and this one differs from the others in that it has an all-discrete analog signal path, and it sounds really huge. Here it is. All right, so here it is, our new synthesizer module. It's got a lot of interconnectivity options on the back. We've got MIDI in and MIDI out. It sends MIDI CC from all of the knobs. Right now, I'm going to be controlling it from our System 8 IRA line synthesizer because a huge part of this is the expressive timbres you can get with the pitch wheel and the mod wheel. So we'll be showing that off. It's got audio out on the back, mini jack, phones out. It's got some external controls in with CV in, gate in, and VCF CV in, so that can interact with Eurorack gear or any vintage synthesizer gear. And also it's got trigger in and out to sync up the sequencer or use it as a master clock. So getting down to it, it's a 3 oscillator analog synthesizer coming out of the Moog tradition. So what we have is we have 3 discrete oscillators that we can mix in on the mixer here. They've got their own selectable wave shapes. We've got triangle, triangle saw, sawtooth, and then we've got 3 variable pulse width waves. So we've got one that's almost a square wave, something that's about 75% pulse width, and then getting closer to 90. So with the 3 oscillators, we can mix them together, the mixer here, and you hear that we get that classic beating sound that you get from some of our favorite analog classic synths. So you can fine tune it like that. Once we add oscillator 3, it's the same situation. And remember, we can tune these to different intervals if we'd like. So I could tune oscillator 3, change the octaves, and I could tune it up to get a 5th. And when we start to play around with the different wave shapes, we can see the huge variation of timbres that we can get just from this section. It's got a 24 dB low pass filter. Take a listen to that. And just a huge sound, and it has really beautiful resonance when we turn that up. And one thing to note is that this filter also will feed back by itself and self-resonate, so I can use it as a sine wave oscillator. And when we've got our key tracking set to full, we could add a bit of glide and use it as a nice lead. Also in the mixer we've got feedback, and this is feeding back from the output back into the mixer. So we get these kind of really raunchy sounds, kind of like a microphone feeding back in front of a speaker, but more controlled. And you hear that? And this is all happening before the filter, so we can really get some cool grungy tones to work with, then filter them down. Also, we've got noise on the mixer, and this is great for percussive kind of sounds, because the envelopes on the synthesizer are extremely snappy. They're modeled after a Model D, so the Moog Model D, so we can get some extremely cool hi-hat sounds, very tight sounds. And when we start to mix in the feedback, we get some more radical stuff going on. So we've got an LFO here with 9 different wave shapes, and the beautiful thing about this is that we can sync it up to a clock when we're sequencing, which I'll show in a moment. So not only is it a free-running LFO that you can use for different modulations to the filter or to the oscillator, like this. Got a bunch of different shapes. Send it to the oscillator or to the filter as well. And I'm bringing this in and out with the mod wheel. So the wonderful thing is that you can assign where the mod wheel is going to, what controls the mod wheel is going to be sent to. So oscillator, filter, and there's also a cross modulation section which gets some really crazy sounds going on, which takes you more into kind of modern territory that you can control with the mod wheel as well. One example of that would be FM synthesis that we can do with the middle here, X mod, oscillator 3 to oscillator 2. We can actually do some sounds that you really wouldn't attribute to a classic analog synth. Like, check this out. If we grab a triangle wave. I can use oscillator 3 to make some very glassy type. I'll bring in a little bit of the finally, we've got a delay on the output. So this is also tempo syncable, just like the LFO. So we're going to move on to the sequencer, and we'll see how the LFO and the delay play with that. So the SE-02 features an extremely deep 16-step sequencer. We've got control over which notes the sequencer is going to be playing. We've got control over the gate time of each note, glide on individual steps, performance parameters that we can lock, and then we've got our standard controls like the speed of the sequencer, we've got shuffle, we've got different directions as well. So I've got a sequence programmed here already. We can play it and take a listen. So we can edit the sequencer either from the front panel or from a keyboard. For example, if I wanted to change this note here, we're seeing it's D sharp. I can change it from the front panel here. Or simply change it from the keyboard. Like this. I can turn steps on and off like this. We'll go over to gate. I could actually change the gate length per step. We can also add glide per step. So if I wanted to just add glide, say here, and I can turn up the glide amount here. And finally, the parameter locks are extremely powerful. What I can do is choose any parameter on the front panel and lock it per step. So for example, if I wanted to vary my filter cutoff, I could start here, start with filter cutoff at 13, and here I could open it up. Then you see that the filter is changing on each step. You can do this with any parameter on the entire synthesizer. A cool example would be the delay. If I only wanted delay on, say, from this step to this step, you can hear we only have delay here. So as you can see, you can get very creative with the step sequencer. This synthesizer has one user bank of 128 patches, which you can save, you can rewrite, and it has 3 banks of 128 presets. So if we go through some of the presets, you see you've got some really classic sounding stuff. This control here, you can scroll through or you can numerically choose which patch you'd like to move to. Got a lot of more interesting kind of sound designy patches in here. We've also got some nice sounds like this. So if we listen to the sequencer on a sound like this, and we decide to sync the delay, you can see that it syncs up to 16th notes and we can move through different divisions. So as you can see, it's got a ton of cool features and it sounds huge in such a small package. Thanks for joining us today, guys. If you're interested in checking out the SE-02, go to longandmcquade.com or go to your local on McQuade and talk with the guys there. Check it out.